Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the information session for the 2024 Norfolk Master Gardener training class. Thank you guys for coming. We're thrilled to have you with us. My name is Will Redfern, and I am one of the co-chairs for the 2024 training class. A couple of things before we start. First, as you may have noticed, we have muted you during the presentation part of the program. After the presentation part is over, we will unmute you and you can ask any questions you want. You can also pop questions into the chat box during the presentation if you like to. We have also enabled the show caption feature during the presentation. If you don't want the closed captioning, simply press the button, the show caption button at the bottom, and it will tell you how to turn it off. And lastly, I would really encourage you guys to turn your videos on so we can see you better and interact better with you guys. Next, I want to introduce some of the folks on the team who will be speaking tonight. First, we have Judy Davis, who is one of the co-chairs for the 2024 training team. She is from the Master Gardener class of 2022, so just last year. Judy, can you say hi?
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Next, we have Barb Wilson, who's the third co-chair for our 2024 class. She's from the Master Gardener class of 2007. Barb, can you say hi?
Great to see everybody. Enjoy the show.
And last, we have Kate Melhewish. She is the Extension Master Gardener Coordinator. That is a mouthful. I'm sure you guys will learn what that term means in a second. She's been a Master Gardener since 2004. Kate, can you say hi?
Yeah, hi. Welcome, everybody.
All right. Tonight's presentation of how to become a Master Gardener is of a fairly serious nature, you could say. So before we sink our teeth into it, I really want to make sure that you know right away what a bunch of fun-loving folks Norfolk Master Gardeners are. We aren't all this serious. We'd like to have a good time as we work and then after we work. In fact, you will find no better food in Norfolk than at a Norfolk Master Gardener potluck, and there are lots of these potlucks. It's always excellent. And we like to joke around. Now, at this point, I was going to tell you guys a gardening joke, but some of the folks on the team tonight were kind of iffy about that. So I will give you guys the chance to vote yes, thumbs up, or no, thumbs down if you want to hear the garden joke. It won't take more than 10 seconds. But let's kind of test your sense of humor here. So if you want to hear it, I'll give you 10 seconds, give me a thumbs up, and if not, no sweat. Give me a thumbs down. I only see one thumbs up. We have more, 2 thumbs up, 3 thumbs up. Okay, fine. All right, I'll do it. Okay. So a neighbor was in my yard the other day, and he was checking out my veg garden, and he says to me, "Well, this is amazing. You've got so much stuff in here. It must take so much work. How do you find the time?" And I said, "Well, actually, it's pretty easy because the time is next to the sage." Get it? Time, sage, time, sage. Okay, all right. Speaking of sage remarks, the famous Audrey Hepburn once said, "To plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow." And that's exactly what Master Gardeners do. We believe in tomorrow, and we want to make our city a better place. Here's a session overview. Kate Melhewish is going to talk about what Virginia Cooperative Extension is and who the Master Gardeners are. Then I will talk about the Norfolk Master Gardener projects and the first year requirements and topics. Then we've got a cameo appearance by Mary Johnson, who's one of our members of the class of 2023, who's going to tell you what the class is like. Then Judy's going to finish out by talking about class dates and requirements and the application process. So now I will turn it over to Kate Melhewish. Kate?
Thanks, Will. Before we get into the details about taking next year's training class, which you're all excited to hear about, my job is to explain to you all how Norfolk Master Gardeners fit under the big umbrella of Virginia Cooperative Extension, or VCE. And you're going to hear those two names quite a lot. Extension brings information, education, and knowledge to people everywhere in the Commonwealth. There are VCE offices in every county or city. These offices offer services in 4 very broad program areas. Agriculture and natural resources, which of course is where big picture Norfolk Master Gardeners fall. Then there's Family and Consumer Sciences, which teaches nutrition and wellness and family financial education. And there's 4-H Youth Development. That is a community of young people learning friendship, citizenship, and life skills. And there's also Community Viability, and that is training for elected officials, educating entrepreneurs, and helping collaborative projects. They conduct problem-driven research. Anyway, let's go to the next slide. So here's this big map, and this is Virginia Cooperative Extension is part of this nationwide network of extension services that are connected through all these institutions of higher learning. Each one was endowed in the 19th century, so more than 100 years ago, for the purpose of researching and teaching practical subjects like agriculture, science, engineering. Before then, there were colleges like Harvard and William and Mary. Those were founded for the study of things like theology, medicine, classical subjects like Greek and Latin, and of course they were for men only. But starting during the time of the Civil War, what became known as land-grant universities started to be endowed all over the country. And now every state has at least one. Virginia has two, Virginia Tech and Virginia State University. And the mission of those land-grant universities is, bottom line, education, research, and public service. Which brings us to VCE Master Gardeners. And under those 4 big program areas that I said of Virginia Cooperative Extension, we fit under the category of agriculture and natural resources. Now, in other cities or counties, the local VCE office and its Master Gardeners might offer educational programming about farming or horse ownership or whatever their community needs to know about. But here in Norfolk, we actively help citizens learn about maintaining a healthy home environment, about how to create sustainable urban and suburban landscapes, how to protect water resources, grow a garden, and properly manage pests and wildlife. Just who are Norfolk Master Gardeners? We are all regular people who are residents of the city of Norfolk. We have some young people who still work in a variety of fields. Many of us are retirees, teachers, city employees, and lots of former civil service or military veterans. We have many longtime gardeners. Nobody's still from the very first class 35 years ago, the class of 1988, but quite a few who've been doing this for 20 years or more. We're all in this to learn more about good gardening and how to be better stewards of the environment. And we all want to extend what we've learned by sharing it within our community. So we're volunteer educators, number one. That means we're actually unpaid staff members of Virginia Cooperative Extension who use the best horticulture practices to make our city a better place to live, work, and play. The next slide is the infographic, which shows you the impact of Norfolk Master Gardeners just last year alone. We're a fairly large group, and we have a great footprint in the city. We totaled nearly 18,000 volunteer hours in 2022. And now I think it's over to Will to talk about the program and the training class.
Thanks, Kate. All right, I know exactly what you guys are thinking. How in the world did we get to the 18,000 hours, volunteer hours that were in the last slide? Well, we did that by working on roughly 28 projects that we have around the city of Norfolk. You've probably seen some of these as you've driven around the city. These projects are the beating heart of the Norfolk Master Gardener organization. So let's take a look at a sampling of some of these. First up is the square foot garden at the Fred Hewitt Center. We operate 4 demonstration vegetable gardens, including this one, which is in Ghent. This one won the Search for Excellence Award at the 2021 International Master Gardener Conference. It's a terrific, terrific garden. It also produces and donates over 1,500 pounds of produce a year to the food bank. So it's really helping out in the community as well. Next up is Norfolk Botanical Garden. We have a protege kitchen garden out there that we operate. It's a great location for us to operate, or sorry, for us to educate the public. We have tons of people coming in there daily who come to visit the Botanic Garden. So it's a super way for us to reach the public. We also have a project at the Wyanoke Bird and Wildflower Sanctuary, and this is in West Ghent. Here we plant lots of native plants in an effort to encourage a natural habitat. We also do lots of maintenance work. It's a really very cool space. We also have a native dune demonstration garden. This is in East Beach. Here we installed a garden in a dune to show local residents who live along the bayside how they could plant up their gardens. Using native plants on shorelines helps with resilience, which, as you know, is a big concern here in Norfolk. The crepe myrtle pruning program. In this project, we go to different neighborhoods in Norfolk and train residents on how to prune their crepe myrtles. As all of you are Norfolk residents, you know that there are about a gazillion crepe myrtles in Norfolk. This project essentially developed because the city did not have enough manpower to do this. So this is really an unofficial partnership between us and the city. And there you've got a pretty good shot of before and after what a properly pruned crepe myrtle looks like. Community outreach. We have lots of community outreach events across the year and all over Norfolk. In the left photo, you can see Barb working at an information tent, a table. This was at Tarleton in June, I think. In the middle, you see Judy there. She just had a display, I think, or some kind of presentation at the Hermitage Art Camp. And then in the right side there, you see us helping a child plant up a garden. Looks like some nice, rich soil there. We also do things, by the way, community outreach, like seed donations. We run a food seed bank at the Slover Library. Arbor Day. This year's Arbor Day is October 14th at Lafayette Park. And if you haven't been to Arbor Day before, you probably don't know that the city gives away free trees that they want you to plant up in their yard. And this has been happening year after year. Coincidentally, or maybe not, we are also having a plant sale on Arbor Day, Saturday, October 14th at Lafayette Park, right? We'll be right next to the tree giveaway. So in a shameless plug, come out to Arbor Day, get a free tree from the city, and buy a couple plants from us for your yard. We're also having another big event, same time, same place, called Bug Fest, or it's the Southeast Hokie Bug Fest, in which you can see and learn about all the different kinds of insects that are in our area. Very cool. Kids love it. They love seeing all the bugs. So come check it out. Big day for us and big day for Norfolk, Saturday, October 14th at Lafayette Park. So let's talk a bit about the first year requirements of becoming a Master Gardener. And here, let me remind you that you're supposed to be you have to be a Norfolk resident to take the class. So we generally split the class into two distinct parts. The first part is the class, which is a minimum of 50 hours. This is the classroom learning experience. It's mostly lecture, again, mostly in the classroom, although we do some field trips. And I'll talk about the class a bit more in a second. The second part of the first year requirements is a minimum of 50 work training hours, that you do with other Master Gardeners. This is the hands-on experience part of the training, the active learning part of the internship in the field that is led by experienced Master Gardeners. You get these hours by working at one of the many projects I just told you about, one of the 28 projects that we have around the city. So you can see that there are lots of opportunities for you to get these. So these are the two ways that we train you up as Master Gardeners. All of this reinforces that we are a volunteer organization that requires its members to work, in our case, on one or more of the 28 projects that we have. As we said earlier, we have a defined mission of providing horticultural advice and education to the residents of Norfolk with the goal of making our city a better place to live. And we take that very seriously. So you have to complete all the minimum required hours. There are no exceptions. These first year hours requirements, by the way, are the most stringent. After you become a master gardener, the hours are significantly reduced. Let's go back to the class itself and see what it covers. This is a list of the class, not all, but some of the class topics. We always start with the foundational topics of botany and then soils. Those are key to understanding all of the other topics that we have. So we have things like lawns, vegetables, herbaceous plants, native plants, resilience, pruning and propagation, the plant pathology, insects, all that sort of stuff. The resilience is something we've added really in the last couple of years because Norfolk has such a concern in Norfolk. We want everybody to be able to help out with that if they can. The classes in the overall course is meant to provide you with a base of knowledge in your mission to educate the residents of Norfolk, right? Each class is about 3 hours, and of course, we have breaks in there. Ensuring your success. Well, how do we do this? Let me just start by saying our intern training classes are critically important for the Norfolk Master Gardener Association. You guys will be the seed corn of the future, right? So we invest heavily in your success. We have a system of supports in place that are designed to help you be successful in the class, in your first year, and then beyond. So first of all, each participant will be assigned an experienced master gardener as your mentor. Your mentor will answer any questions you might have about the class or anything master gardener related. Next are the training committee co-chairs. That's Judy, Barb, and me. We'll be at every class. If you have any questions, you can always ask us. We're happy to discuss anything going on with you. Then we have the training committee itself. There are about 15 people on the training committee, including the 3 of us, many of whom will actually be attending the classes with us, and they are going to be very supportive. You can ask them any questions you want or raise any concerns you have as well. And last, of course, is our Extension Master Gardener Coordinator, Kate Mel-Hewish. Her door is always open. She's very approachable and very quick to respond. So we have multiple layers to make sure you succeed the first year and going forward. Okay, what is the class really like? We'll come back to the details about the class in a minute. We want to give you an unfiltered glimpse into what the class is really like. So we have enlisted Mary Johnson from this year's class of 2023 to tell us about it. Now, we have not heard in advance what she's going to say, so this is going to be constructive and interesting for us as well. Mary?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And as I was introduced, I am a recent graduate of the 2023 Master Gardeners class, and I'm going to give you a brief description of my experience with the class. But before I get started, I would like to tell you that it's been some 40 years since I've been to school. So I also was handed we were handed a 3-inch binder at the beginning of the course, and we're told that we were going to read every page. Well, I was a little nervous, but after the first class, I quickly realized this is a training team that truly cares about our learning process. They spent time at the very beginning learning our names and following up with every class. Also, the instructors are amazing. They're PhDs and MSCs and tree stewards and research managers, just to name a few. And the classes were fun and interesting. The weekly material always coincided with the classes, and we even went on field trips, as Will said. I thoroughly enjoyed reading that 3-inch binder, and I spent many a time sitting at the table, turning them like it was a real page turner of a novel. I knew the class was having an effect on me when I started spending 5 or 10 minutes just looking at a plant in my yard. I mean, who knew the process of photosynthesis would be so fascinating, or the smell of compost a good thing? Well, I also spend my time looking at bugs, and I'm going to invest in a magnifying glass. The material and the instructors are second to none. But the thing that sticks out most in my mind are the people, the instructors, my classmates, and all of the Norfolk Master Gardeners. Each time I venture out into one of our work projects, we help provide the community with reliable knowledge, and you take a great deal of pride in that. But the real test of my knowledge has been in the success of my own garden. This year alone, I have canned over 10 jars of tomatoes. And this is the first year I've watched monarchs prepare for their migration journey. I've stopped buying bird seed because the birds now feed on everything in my yard. And as a beekeeper, I now plant pollinating plants that help facilitate our bees' nectar and pollen needs. You'll really like the class. Just don't forget, you work in the soil, not dirt, and you always plant native and non-invasive. But I don't want to spoil any more of it for you. Just remember that 3-inch binder, I read it all. And honestly, I didn't remember it all. But I can assure you, if I have a question and I don't know the answer, I know how to research it. And if that doesn't yield an appropriate response, I can ask a myriad of master gardeners for help. Best of luck to you in the class. It's great. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it now over to Judy. Take it away, Judy.
Thanks, Mary, and thanks for those kind words about the class. Now that you've heard from Mary, hopefully everybody's excited about taking the class. So I'm going to talk with you a little bit more about what is actually involved in some of the logistics. As Will mentioned, the classes are scheduled beginning in February, from February 6th through April 18th. And those classes will take place every Tuesday and Thursday from 8:45 to noon, although occasionally there may be a class that runs over a bit, particularly if it's a field trip day. The classes are held predominantly at the Norfolk Botanical Garden and their auditoriums, but as Will mentioned again, we have many field trips during the course of the class to get you out and about in the community, to the Agricultural Research Center and Old Dominion University, but also to some of our project sites like the Dune Garden, for example. So you'll get to travel a little bit and see a little bit more of what we're about. Okay, so the cost of the class is $125, which includes your background check and a digital copy of the handbook. Now, as Mary mentioned, it used to be a 3-inch binder, but that handbook has been totally updated since the book that Mary and I studied with, and it now looks more like this. It is a softback book. It's got full color illustrations, photographs, charts, tables. You will get a digital version of this included with your registration fee, but if you're somebody who prefers a paper copy, those will be available as well. They are hot off the press, so they haven't set the final price for those yet, but we're anticipating that it's going to be approximately $50. Now, as Will mentioned before, class attendance is really important. The class moves briskly, and we want you to attend every class. In fact, if you have to miss a class for some reason, we require you to make up the class because of the amount of knowledge that's being covered in each session. If you miss more than 2 classes, you may be in danger of not completing the course at all. So again, we try hard to emphasize that you want to plan to be at every class. If you do need to make one up, there are a number of ways that can be done. In addition to the reading for the classes and then attending the class sessions themselves, each section of the book will feature an open book chapter review that'll be available for you to do on your own. Now, these are not graded. We're not giving you, numerical grades on every chapter quiz, but the purpose of them is to give you a reading check so you can test yourself and see how much you're retaining from the reading you're doing class to class. There is also an open book, open notes final exam at the end of the course. That one is graded, and that is part of the requirements for moving on to become a Master Gardener intern. And then finally, you'll have the opportunity to do a class project. The class project is a chance for you to delve into an area that you really, really find interesting and then present that information to your class. It's a great opportunity for you as an individual researcher, but it's also a great opportunity for you as an audience member as you listen to all of your classmates' presentations. They are fascinating, and it's a great way to learn about each individual's interests. So, what is the process for getting into the class? Well, you've begun that by being with us here tonight. The next step is going to be completing an online application that will be due by October 20th. We're going to show you in a minute how you can get to that online application and what that's about. That will be followed by an interview with a few members of our membership committee. Now, the interview is not like a job interview. It's not something you should feel anxious about. It's really an opportunity for you to sit down with a couple of members of our membership committee where you can ask questions if you have them about the Master Gardener program, the class itself, or anything else that you feel like hasn't been explained to you either through this presentation or the paperwork that you'll be getting. The next step is a reference check, and that'll be done through Sterling Volunteers. It's a quick, easy online application that goes through, and then once that is completed, you're ready to move on to getting ready to take the class. So, what does the application, how do you get to the application? In the next day or two, Barb is going to be sending you an email, and her email address is there. You may have heard from her already, but if not, be on the lookout for it. She'll be emailing you to give you this link, which will take you to the Norfolk Master Gardener application. If we click on that link, you'll see that what it does is it takes you to a page that looks something like this and has a welcome letter on the left side. And then in that upper right corner, you can see the place where you can fill out an application. Before you click that black button, though, I strongly urge you to read through the welcome letter on the left side. It will remind you of some of the information that we're presenting to you tonight and some additional information about the class, as well as how to complete the application itself. So check out that letter before you click on the black button. Now, I also want to mention with the black button, if by chance you've been involved with another volunteer organization that uses My Impact, you may already have an account. And if that's the case, you'll log in with that account. For most of you, this will be the first time that you're going to My Impact. And when you click on that fill in an application, it will walk you through the process of creating your account and then filling out the online application. So with that, that is the end of our formal presentation tonight. And at this point, I think you are going to be unmuted and we're going to go back to the gallery view. But before we do that, if you have more questions, remember you can visit our website or our Facebook page, or you can email us at the email that many of you have already used to get in touch with us to express your interest. But we're happy to welcome your questions right now if you have questions for any of us about the program or the class. And above all, thank you so much for coming tonight.